Hello teachers, I'm Mary and this is the first video of my new series called the ELT Glossary. So if you are an English teacher or you're planning on taking a TEFL, CELTA, Trinity Cert TESOL, Deep TESOL, Delta, a master's course, let me tell you that you are going to need to learn a lot of ELT terms and concepts. When I first started my journey as an English teacher, I read this book and I highly recommend it. But I know that not all teachers are big fans of reading dictionaries. So for that reason, I've decided to gather some qualified, amazing English teachers from all over the world and create my own human dictionary. In each video, we are going to see 5 different English teachers explaining one ELT term in a maximum of 2 minutes. Terms are in no particular order, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because you need to know all of them. Okay, and remember that these teachers, most of them, they've got something to offer you. Some of them got YouTube channels, others, they sell courses for English teachers. So feel free to contact them. All the links are going to be in the description, all right? And most importantly, if you think you're up for the challenge and you want to be in one of those videos, please contact me. Just comment below or send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. So grab your pen and your notebook and prepare yourself to take notes, because here they come.
So let's talk about schema or schemata, the plural form of a term that was coined by a very famous biologist, psychologist, physician, amazing educator who was born in Switzerland, and his name was Jean Piaget. Have you ever heard of him? I'm sure you have. He used to say that we have mental representations of the world inside our brains. Yes, our brains, exactly. Whenever we think of something, a map lights up and gives us the basic or the primal structure of whatever it is we're thinking of. Let's test you, for example. Think of a house. Do you think your mental representation of a house is very similar to mine? Probably, you thought of 4 walls, a couple of doors and windows, you probably thought of a roof, but they are slightly different. And that's exactly what Piaget meant by schema or schemata, that those mental representations are actually stored in our brain as long-term memory. And that means that that's part of our prior knowledge, what we already know about the world. If we want to teach our students new information, that means we need to be able to connect that to the prior knowledge so that we can facilitate learning through something that he used to call assimilation. So basically, we're connecting new stuff to old stuff, so that's much easier. Or we can teach stuff from scratch that they have no idea of, they have no mental representation of, and that means accommodation, and that's a little harder. But here the key is try to tap into your students' schemata so that they can learn more effectively, because it's the stuff that is already there in their brains.
In this video, I would like to talk to you about the concept of blocking items. Blocking items is a piece of terminology that refers to the vocabulary that you pre-teach in a receptive skills lesson. And by receptive skills, I mean reading or listening lessons. How do you decide what vocabulary do you teach? Some people might say, oh, I'll teach all the difficult words. Well, what I perceive to be difficult might be different from what another person perceives to be difficult. What is your measure for difficulty? So a better way to approach choosing the vocabulary to pre-teach in your receptive skills lesson is to think about blocking items. Blocking items very simply refers to a piece of vocabulary that if the student doesn't understand that vocabulary, they won't be able to complete the task. And by tasks, I'm specifically referring to the usual tasks that are dealt with in a receptive skills lesson. And that's generally just and specific information. So a great way to choose what blocking items to pre-teach is go and look at your tasks first, and then go to the text, the listening or the reading text, and search where the answer is. Is there any vocabulary there that if the student didn't understand it, they wouldn't be able to complete the task? I hope this helps you in preparing your reading and listening lessons.
Cognates. What is a cognate? A cognate is a word in one language that has a similar meaning and spelling in another language. English has been influenced by many languages, so you'll find cognates in German, Greek, the Romantic languages, and many, many more. If we look at German as an example to find a cognate, the word good is gut in German, right? They're similar spelling, they have a similar root, they have a similar meaning. In Spanish, accident is accidente, similar root, similar spelling, similar meaning. Making students aware of cognates will allow them to use their first language to better understand English. We call this cognate awareness. Let's pick a Spanish student as an example. Spanish words that end in DAD end in TY in English. They are cognates. So, seguridad is security in English, universidad, university, and realidad, reality. You get the idea. Teaching this rule and teaching cognates will enable Spanish-speaking students to learn English words in chunks, in turn more effectively. However, it is equally important to be aware of false cognates, also known as false friends. These are words that look alike but have different meanings. Embarrassed and embarazado look very similar, but their meanings are entirely different. Embarazado means pregnant, it does not mean embarrassed. So, teaching false cognates will help students avoid embarrassing encounters or embarrassing situations where they might say they are pregnant as opposed to embarrassed.
Let's talk about cloze tests. So a cloze test is a procedure in which a student gets a passage of text and a few words are removed from the text, so they are missing, and students have to fill in the blanks. And this is really a test of their ability to comprehend text. This is because students have to understand context and vocabulary in order to fill in the correct missing words. They must be able to see also what type of word is missing. So for example, a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, and so on and so forth, to make the sentence grammatically correct. And that requires linguistic knowledge and knowledge about meaning too. This test is created by removing words from the text at a regular interval, such as every 7th word or every 9th word, and students must give their best guess as to what should be inserted. An example of this is the following sentence. This is an example of a blank test where every 7th word has blank deleted. So students here should have filled in cloze and been at the end. Some cloze tests will ask for a specific type of word, so all nouns, for example, which is a little easier. And also teachers may give all the words to the students beforehand, or they may leave all the choices up to the student itself. Cloze tests are claimed to give a really good representation of the student's overall proficiency in English, because even though it's about reading, it's actually about comprehending language and how it really works. So cloze tests are tests of vocabulary, spelling, and an understanding of the English language, so they can be very useful in determining your student's level of English.
So usage-based language acquisition is a way of describing the particular theories that deal with learning a language through immersion and use. This means that usage-based language classrooms are classrooms where students participate in particular tasks to make sure that they acquire the language through implicit learning. This means that the language is learned through input and frequency, and of course repetition. Important for usage-based language acquisition is the idea of chunking, which means that you learn particular chunks of language together or in a particular context. Also key is the idea of pattern extraction, which means that your brain kind of has the tendency to sort of find particular patterns in particular chunks of language. Usage-based language acquisition is also very important in the idea of communicative language teaching, which is of course favored over a grammar translation method or something that focuses on a particular grammatical construction. The different processes that are in play in a communicative or usage-based language classroom are kind of created in such a way that it's always a maximum of exposure and use. This is why this is an approach that favors a communicative approach to language teaching, and that's why I like it over a grammar translation method or something that focuses on grammar explicitly. Examples of usage-based approaches to language teaching are, for example, CLIL, which is Content and Language Integrated Learning, or AIM, which is really the art of imitation in a language class. So that is, in a nutshell, the definition of usage-based language learning.
And that's it for today. André, Fergus, Leigh, Dominique and Enrique, thanks a lot for accepting my invitation and for sharing your knowledge with us. Okay, so don't forget that if you're a teacher and you want to participate in this project, just send me a message. And wow, I cannot wait to see the next one. Happy teaching, everyone.